How to Create a Glitch Monologues Season 30 Chapter 3. This is Season 30 of How to Create a Glitch in the Matrix Monologues Episode 3. In this episode, we will be discussing how one goes about creating a conjoined consensuality out of a dissonant space. In the last several episodes, we talked a great deal about how dissonant consensualities rarely become conjoined consensualities. However, what we failed to mention is how a dissonant consensuality can acquire the effectuation of its expectations through finding a conjoined space with others. To start out, dissonant spaces are habituated to negation. Since in the process of creating a dissonant consensuality one must negate a previously affirmatory impulse, existing in a dissonant space habituates one toward negation of others' consensuality. That being said, there is no certainty that one voice cannot become many. For in the negation of a single impulse, there is the possibility of a conjoined dissonant space. The only hurdle to accomplishing the transition of a dissonant consensuality into a conjoined consensuality, at least within a limited number of actors, is one's habituation toward negating the affirmatory impulses inculcated by others. In other words, it becomes maladaptive if one's instinct to negate encompasses even the affirmatory response to one's dissonant space. Thus, it is important to recognize that one's pattern of behavior, one's dissonant continuity, has the potential to produce an affirmatory response in some other, which might enable that dissonant space to become a conjoined space, at least between some small number. The barrier to accomplishing this is in the recognition that one's patterns have been habituated by the conjoined consensuality of the masses to negation of one's expectations. And vice versa. Thus, one must at least maintain the apprehension that it is possible for one's dissonant expectations to become concordant with the expectations of some other, leading to the creation of a dissonant conjoined consensuality. Now, what are the properties of this dissonant conjoined consensuality? Like all consensualities, in order for it to expand, it must achieve a conjoining with others' consensualities, and in the process of this, it expands its scope and its capacity for independently producing expectation matching in others. To be clear, the same pattern must repeat itself, such that affirmatory responses are translated into the effectuation of the impulses which originate in negation, finding their activity in the sublimation of those inhibited impulses through the dissonant space. It occurs to this author that the ability of a dissonant consensuality to become a conjoined consensuality is central to the paradigmatic shifting described in much earlier podcasts in relation to the dialectical process. As well, the chain reaction, described as the linking of orthogonal thought in response to the radiation of tension from the generation of exegesis, might reflect such unfurling of a dissonant space through conjoined consensualities of its participants. Likewise, the centrality of faith, not in anything more than the extension of one's consensuality through the assumption of some other participating within one's dissonant space, cannot be circumscribed by a mind disposed to ignorance of the phenomenon. Because one's judgments limit the extent that others may participate within one's dissonant consensual or consensual space, relegating their involvement to a slice of their self, palatable to the mind predisposed to exclude that which fails to meet its expectations. In conclusion, an element of faith in others is necessary, extension of the expectation that other actors may comprehend and even respond affirmatively to one's dissonant space, to successfully escape the isolation created by the prison of a dissonant mind. But equally important is the recognition that one's own patterns may be to curtail one's success with the same negation that one greets a conjoined consensuality, and in so doing, undermining the potency of one's intentions. That's the end of the podcast for today. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment and subscribe.